Ela Chamda Libi.
Please join me.
Continue now on page 2. It's my privilege to invite Jocelyn and Molly Diaz to light candles. Welcome in Shabbat. You can if you want. It's all up to you. Just can't blow the match out with the mask on.
Okay. Goodness gracious.
I don't think we make it easy for people. We have one match.
I have a lighter.
Oh.
Thank you.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom.
Page 24, we welcome in Shabbat messengers of peace. Page 24, Shalom Aleichem. Continuing with Kabbalat Shabbat with welcoming Shabbat on page 12, Psalm 95, the first words, Lechu Naranana. Come, let us sing joyously to God. On page 19, from Psalm 29, this is Zamru, is that right?
Page 16.
think
16,
the number got turned.
yeah, which is part of Psalm 98, at the top of the page, Zamru Ladonai.
Zamru Ladonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra, b'chatzot v'kol shofar, ariu lifnei hamelech Adonai. Zamru Ladonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra, b'chatzot v'kol shofar, ariu lifnei hamelech Adonai. Yiram hayamim lo, tevel v'yoshveva, deharotim chauchav yachad, arim yiranenu. Yiram hayamim lo, tevel v'yoshveva, deharotim chauchav yachad, arim yiranenu. Lifnei Adonai kiva, lishpot haaretz, lishpot tevel b'tzedek, ve'amim v'meisha. Yiram hayamim lo, tevel v'yoshveva, deharotim chauchav yachad, arim yiranenu.
This one really is on page 20. It's Lecha Dodi, and this is the one in which we welcome in the Shabbat presence. When we get to the last paragraph, which is number 9, we rise to face the entrance and to greet Shabbat.
לקראת קלה, בני שבת, נתקבלה. שבת דודי לקראת קלה, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשמו תפארת ולתהילה. אדוני לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. אדוני לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לקחו ונחה, כי מקור הברכה, בראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. אדוני לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת כלה, בני
Now that you're standing, please take a moment to wish someone standing near you or even across the aisle from you, maybe someone that you've not met before, Shabbat Shalom. We turn now to the Psalm for Shabbat, Psalm 92 on page 22. And it's the indented part towards the bottom, Sadiq Katamar Yifrach, the righteous bloom like a date palm. Page 22. Page 26, Chetzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ויעלמה דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון ובימיכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם לעד ועלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתבר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשם ברכו לי אלה מכל החטא ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמה ויאמרו אמן.
Please rise and body your spirit for Baruch Hu on page 28.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chokhma poteach sha'arim uvitvuna meshana itim mechalif et hazmanim umisader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or ma'avir yom umevi layla umavdil ben yom uvein layla Adonai tzvaot shemo Achai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגד יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני וחירמו ישראל Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kivno Achoto Leolam Va'ed.
May be seated. Continue on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובמלאכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
On page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say Adonai together. There's one God in heaven and earth, and now together. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Mi chamocha.
Amen.
is our people's nighttime prayer, Hashkivenu. We ask God to watch over us, especially at night, when it's dark, when we maybe are afraid, when we're maybe alone, we're maybe wondering what the next day will bring. So we ask God to spread over us a shelter of peace, like a blanket, Sukkot Shalom, a blanket of peace. So we ask that for ourselves, and we're also aware that there's so many in this world who are in need of healing, and so we use this opportunity to think of them as well, especially to ask God to spread over them a special Sukkot Shalom of healing of body and spirit. Tonight we hold in our hearts for healing Ira Altshuler, Julie Arnheim, Alex Botkin, Howard Bregman, Fern Diamond, Ann Fay, Stephen Fisher, Judy Forrest, Ken Franklin, Piers Haggard, Aryaman Harlalka, David Mordechai HaKohen, Linda Jube, Naum Kaplan, Carol Kaufman, Silva Kasparowski, Al Camper, Todd Cart, Lee Kramer, Albert Lepre, Susan Lothar, Hinda Sarabat Khana Pearl, Sophie Matiash, Joanne Mandel, Kent Markison, Jonathan Miller, Edward Mims, B.G. Morrison, Joanne Newman, Harav Shmuel Ephraim Ben Panina, Lev Podorovsky, Cooper Saul Roberts. Cooper Saul Roberts is the 8-year-old who was shot in Highland Park and just went through surgery and is still in critical condition. Jonathan Robeson, Mike Rosen, Oliver Scheibel, Howard Schuman, Adam Schusterman, John Spear, Bill Stein, Jan Stoller, Jackie Student, Helen Marie Tyree, Jordan Wilson, David Wallach, Alan Wolk. Are there any other names from Misha Barak tonight? Misha Barak Avotenu v'imotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah v'Yivarach Yirapeh et Hacholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. Now we switch gears a little bit. V'shamru at the top of page 44, and remember Shabbat as a part of our covenant, part of our agreement with God.
Oh
now to Tefillah, the opening meditation on page 46. Please rise in body or spirit as you're able.
Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor HaNorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei HaKol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מוריד חטא, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדום מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן הכל.
May be seated. We continue now with our tefillah, our own private tefillah, through page 62. So, have you ever had a week where you felt like you were on a roller coaster? You were happy, you're healthy, everyone around you was doing fine, the sun was out, it might not be Pittsburgh. Then, boom, you read the news, or you get a phone call, or you bump into a situation that is particularly challenging or overwhelming. Maybe the question is not, have you ever had a week like that? Maybe the question is, have you ever not had a week of ups and downs? Life is wondrous, life is amazing, and life is exhausting. Perhaps this verse from our Torah portion, Hukat, will resonate. It comes from Numbers 21. People are on their way. It's 40 years into our wandering. And even though this is a generation that hasn't been enslaved, new people, they still are grumpy. And they say, the soul, and the text tells us, the soul of the people shortened along the way. The soul of the people shortened along the way. So even though the entire generation that has left Egypt has died, and the younger Israelites are supposed to be fresh and ready to enter the land of Israel, they're still complaining. So for context of where this verse comes in, Miriam and Aaron both die in this Torah portion, both of Moses' siblings. After Miriam dies, the people are without water and they complain. They do get water again. This is the episode with Moses hitting the rock instead of talking to it, which many of us know. But maybe there's not enough water, or maybe there's something else going on. Or maybe they just learned to whine from their parents and their grandparents. In any case, just as the Israelites were to encounter the Canaanites, they say, "Why did you make us leave Egypt to die in the wilderness? There is no bread and no water, and we have come to loathe this miserable food." The soul of the people shortened along the way is the literal translation of the Hebrew vatiktzar nefesh ha'am baderech. Tiktzar means to shorten. Nefesh, the spirit. Some translate it, the people grew restive on the journey. Everett Fox, one of the translators, says, the people's temper became short along the way. My hunch is that many of us have felt this way when there is yet another shooting, even a mass shooting, but it could be one person, one's enough, too many. Or we watch in dismay as our judicial system reverses, contests, and upends a wide range of human rights. Or when we face a personal challenge. Maybe we feel this way. Our tempers shorten, we get fed up, or agitated, or uneasy, grumpy. Our souls shorten along the way. And it's hard to see beyond our situation. It's hard to see beyond the news. It's hard to see beyond more death. It's hard to see beyond our pain or our exhaustion or our challenge. What happens next in the Torah narrative is actually pretty weird. God sends snakes to bite the people, and then a remedy, the same thing, but this time a snake is raised high on a stick. You might remember from Genesis in the creation story that the snake represents the evil tongue that spoke deceptively. The mouth that complained bitterly could have wrecked the enterprise of the Jewish people to claim their homeland now, people whining and complaining and groaning. The tongue that speaks evil is the same tongue that can speak truth and justice. And the image of the snake, that same snake that brings poisonous attack, can be the source of healing, right? We can use our words for healing, or we can use our words for hurt. The snake can poison, or in the emblem of the American Medical Association, it's used as a sign of healing. So we learn from this incident that the mouths that complained The mouths that were used for destruction can also be used, or could have been used, for constructive purposes, but the Israelites were complaining. Complaining, defeated people have a shortened soul. How might we go about elongating or expanding our own souls? As I said, it's rare that we come upon a week that's just lovely and perfect and joyous. How can we go about elongating or expanding our own souls? Well, one thing is Shabbat. When the world shortens our souls, Shabbat can be a healing balm, and I suspect that's why you're here with us in this room or online. I had occasion just this week to page through the old Union Prayer Book, copyright 1918, and listen to this. It's the very beginning of the book. Therefore the Sabbath is given to us. It is as a gentle voice bidding us turn for a moment from our daily toil, that we may refresh ourselves with the waters of life drawn from the wells of salvation. We feel safe within the sacred walls of this house of prayer. We rejoice in the Sabbath hour of worship, the heart's own hour of holy gladness. So beautiful. The heart's own hour of holy gladness. We bring our prayer and our praise, our burdens of care and our offerings of homage unto the altar of our God, and each heart finds an answer to its cry, a response for its own need. Those words were written nearly, or possibly even over 100 years ago, and they're so beautiful, and they remind us about what Shabbat can be. Just a few days ago, our friend, the liturgist and poet Alden Salavi published this. So this one is brand new. It's called Siddur, Prayer Book. Sometimes I hold my Siddur against my chest, pressed to my heart, like a dressing on a wound. They speak to each other in a language as sweet as love, as simple as hope, as ancient as God's Spirit hovering over the endless deep, calling through the darkness to summon the light, to receive the soul of prayer, yearning, ever yearning, to praise and sanctify God's holy name. I love that. I hold my Siddur against my chest, pressed to my heart, like a dressing on a wound. Being together both in this room and online, being together on Shabbat, being together with our families, and allowing the words we sing and the words we say and the words we hear to crack open our hearts and our souls, this is soul expanding for our shortened souls. So we rest and we refresh, and then finally, it's time to do something, to act, even and maybe especially when we are most tired. Rabbi Evan J. Crane teaches, wear out the soles of your shoes. That's S-O-L-E-S. Wear out the soles of your shoes and keep growing your soul, the one that God placed in you. When the soul is activated, we can see our way to the promised land, and we are ready to march, even if the route is circuitous, even if we forfeit some of our luxuries, even if it takes away from our own comfort. The name of this week's Torah portion, Chukat, refers to the kind of law that is not obviously or sometimes ever understandable or logical. This kind of ruling is something like life, not always understandable or not always logical. In fact, sometimes the remedy is illogical. The serpent story teaches that words can be both harmful and helpful. The remedy for overwhelm, for a tired soul, is action. It's counterintuitive, but it works. Rabbi Crane writes, some days you feel like you don't know if you're heading up or down. On Shabbos, it doesn't matter. Just be. But then is the work. Then is the work that we have to do. So today we rest, and tomorrow we start the work. All of it expands our shortened souls. Shabbat Shalom. We continue now with Aleinu. On page 282, it is upon us to take these teachings, to bring them off the pages and into our hearts. Page 282, please rise in body or spirit as you are able.
Aleinu l'shameach l'adon ha'kol, l'tid g'dula l'yotzer b'rishit, shemo
Kaddish is on page 294. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and all those whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate in the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died in the last 30 days, the period of Shloshim, Claudio Carmiel, Jose Claudio Ledichevsky, and Margot Osofsky. We also remember those who died at this season in years past whose yahrzeit we mark on this Shabbat. Norwin Brovitz, Martha Chern, Bessie Chisner, Suanna Davis, Bernard Epstein, Eva R. Friedel, Rosalind Gaines, Howard Harris, Nathaniel P. Kahn, Leah Labovitz, Sean Lyons, Helen Markowski, Stanley R. Mates, Sidney Midland, Lena Mitchell, Jack Palkovitz, Sally Perlman-Lehman, Rose Heller Rosen, Beth Ann Rosenson, Gertrude Russlender, Irene Ribsky, Morris J. Saul, and Philip Schneider. Other names for Kaddish tonight?
Bob Weinberg, Mark Knight, all those that are going.
Zichronam livracha, may all their memories be for blessing. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah.
Amen.
V'yamad divrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chaychon v'yomechon v'chayei dechobet Yisrael. B'galau v'zman kari v'imru.
Amen.
Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach olam omei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'tadar v'talev v'talal shmei dekudasha b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tishvachata v'nechamata. Damiran bi'alma v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mramav. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen.
Amen.
You may be seated.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru.
In just a moment, we will conclude our service with Ki Eshmeira Shabbat on page 330 in our Siddur, page 330. Take this opportunity to thank Luke up there for all of your work to make us sound good and look good. Thank you, Luke. Thank you to Don McGahan, our music director, and thank you, Cantor Berman, for being with us this Shabbat. We look forward to being with you tomorrow morning and throughout the summer. We don't have really very many announcements. I can't actually think of any. Well, Julie, you have one. What's your announcement?
Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Because it's been so hot this week, we really welcome everybody to come.
And it was closed last week because it was July 4th weekend. We will conclude on page 330. Oh, and I should thank Jocelyn and Molly for lighting Shabbat candles. Thank you. Page 330, Ki Eshmeira Shabbat, and we'll follow that with Kiddush and Motzi.
No
Just break off on, right? The whole thing with Vashana?
This one.
I'm sorry.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kadsho b'yahava u'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehila l'mikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kidasha mikol hamim v'shabbat kadshecha v'ahava uvratzon minchatanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat. Chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Shabbat Shalom, please come and get Pisachala, and if you would be so kind as to take your prayer books before you go.